My name's Michael Schwartz. I am the co-host for Gun Owners Radio, and I'm also the founder and executive director for San Diego County Gun Owners and Orange County Gun Owners and Inland Empire Gun Owners as well. I'm so honored that South Bay Firearms Training has invited me to come and talk about my experience with Second Amendment advocacy and building up the various organizations that I've come to run. The Second Amendment is the second in the Bill of Rights, which was adopted onto the Constitution. The Constitution was ratified, but there were a lot of people that said, wait a minute, before we ratify this Constitution that spells out the government, we want to make sure that certain rights are protected. And it was interesting. There's a lot of people who at the time said, well, we don't need to do that because we haven't given Congress or the president or even judges the authority to weigh in on any of these subjects, like your freedom of speech or religion or anything like that. So there really is no reason to protect. But still, people said, you know what? We just fought in a very important war for independence and freedom and liberty. We want to make sure that it is codified in our new experiment that these rights are protected. So the Second Amendment, the right to keep and bear arms, is actually what it's doing is it's protecting your right to self-defense, defending yourself, your family, your country, your neighborhood. And in order to do that, you have to have arms. It really is a limitation on government. It's not a limitation on people. It's saying, hey, the government shall not infringe on the people's ability to keep and bear arms. The process to buy a firearm in the state of California is involved, but not impossible. You can pretty much get it all done in one shot, going to just about any gun store. They can do it all for you. But what you have to do is you have to get a safety card, a firearm safety card, which basically you have to pass a test. And they ask some questions about gun safety and that sort of thing. And any gun shop should be able to give you a study guide for that or direct you towards a study guide for that. And then they can give you the test and make sure that you have that card. Now, after that, you have to be able to prove that you are a resident of California. You have to be able to prove that you're over the age of 21. You have to be able to prove that you're a U.S. citizen. So they require ID, federally licensed or federally issued ID. They require proof of residency, where you live, like a document that shows that you do, in fact, live in the state of California. And then they do a background check. Now, they do a background check at the federal and state level. The federal background check is pretty instant. They just check a database to see whether or not you're a prohibited person or if you are able to own a gun. But then the state actually does a far more involved background check, and they check to see if you've ever been committed to a mental institution against your will or anything like that. There are certain misdemeanors in the state of California that will prevent you from being able to own a gun, at least temporarily. So there's a background check. There's also a 10-day wait period. And then after the 10-day wait period, when you show up to actually pick up your gun that you've already purchased and you've passed the background check and all the hoops that you have to jump through, then you actually have to prove that you can function the firearm. So the salesperson will actually make sure that you're able to safely function the firearm, that you're able to work the slide and that sort of thing. And then you have to make sure that you have to have a lock. You're required to have some kind of lock, whether it's to lock the gun or a safe or something like that. And those are the steps. It takes a little bit of time. You have to fill out a big, long application. Again, there are federal and state requirements, but it can be done, and any gun shop should be able to walk you through the process from beginning to end. The process to obtain a CCW varies a little bit from county to county, but in general, what you do is you apply through your sheriff. The county sheriff typically issues CCW permits. Now, it is a California state permit, but it's issued by a local authority, which is the sheriff. Some police chiefs also do it, but every county, it's usually left up to the sheriff. So you apply, they put you through a background check as well. You have to provide identification. It's a lot of the same steps as when you purchase a firearm. So you have to prove that you actually live within the county. You have to give them accurate information so they can check to make sure that you're not a prohibited person. Typically takes a little bit of time. Sometimes it'll take weeks, sometimes it'll take months. Once you're approved by the sheriff, once they send you some kind of notification saying that, hey, you've passed the background check, usually you have to pay a fee. The fee will vary in total between, about $100 and maybe up to about $200, somewhere in there. There's the fee that part goes to the state, part goes to the sheriff. So once they notify that, yep, you're good to go, you've passed the background check, the next step is you have to take a 2-day class. On your initial CCW in California, that law just changed from a 1-day or 8-hour class to a 2-day or 16-hour class. They have a list of authorized providers, which are firearms instructors. You go to that class. In that class, you learn a little bit, but you're also tested on a little bit as well. So you really have to go into the class having a lot of functional knowledge about your firearm, safety rules, that sort of thing. They do talk about the ethics of lethal force. They talk about transportation laws and that sort of thing. But there is a test involved, and you do have to bring ammunition for a live fire test. So what you do is after you get approved or conditional approval by the sheriff, you'll find a licensed, authorized firearms instructor. You'll sign up for their class. And classes vary a little bit. There's some general things that they all cover, but some of the classes are a little bit different as far as what they teach and how they teach. So once you sign up for that class, the instructor will send you a list of things you need to bring and maybe a list of things that you need to know in order to be prepared for that class. After you graduate from that class, you pass the class and the test successfully, including the live fire portion. They will give you a certificate that you send back to the sheriff, and then the sheriff will send you your CCW, carry concealed weapon permit. It's extremely important to get adequate training, and not just on marksmanship. Proficiency is extremely important. Accuracy is extremely important, but there's a whole lot of other things that are important when it comes to being a gun owner. Gun ownership is your right. Self-defense is your right, but it's also an enormous responsibility. So we want to make sure that you get the training and you get the experience to make sure that you're a successful, safe, proficient gun owner. So yes, obviously you want to be able to function your gun. You want to be able to, properly use your gun. You want to be able to do it proficiently, but then you also want to make sure that you're using the right equipment. Are you using a quality holster? Are you using a quality belt? Do you know the law? How can you transport your firearm? How can you not transfer your firearm? What are the laws surrounding that? What are the laws when it comes to lethal force? What are the laws when it comes to self-defense, defending your home, carrying outside the home? All these things are extremely important. You don't have to be a legal expert, and you don't have to be a Navy SEAL in order to own a firearm successfully. But it is important to at least get a comfortable knowledge of the basics. You want to be able to load and unload your gun. You want to make sure that you know the 4 universal safety rules. The 4 universal safety rules are: treat all guns as if they're loaded, even if you know that they're not. Keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to shoot. Never point a gun at something you're not willing to destroy. And then know your target and what's beyond. If you follow all 4 of those rules all the time, even if something does happen, it'll prevent it from being horribly tragic. And really, for something horribly tragic to happen, you will have had to have broken at least 2 of those rules, or maybe all of them. Give it a try. Even if it's something you fear, even if it's something you're nervous about, education is never a bad thing. I've seen many, many, many people try shooting a gun for the first time, and vast majority of the time, people have a very good experience. It's empowering, it's educational, and that education can be empowering. It's also on a whole different level. It evens the playing field. I've learned in my life from women who I know and trust that men and women live in a very different world. It's the same planet, it's the same neighborhood and city, but we live in a very different world. I think that men leave the house and have far fewer fears and have had far fewer bad experiences than women have had. And I've seen women even women that are nervous or afraid when it comes to gun ownership at first, I've seen them get comfortable with a firearm quickly and start carrying a firearm, and it's changed how they live their life. It's given them peace of mind. It's given them an effective self-defense tool, and it's empowered them so that when they are outside of the home, they know that they can handle themselves, or they can defend themselves, or if something goes wrong, they can make sure to protect themselves and protect their loved ones. The best place to find us is gunownersradio.com, or you can go to youtube.com/gunownersradio. We have a 2-hour show every Sunday night, and we put out videos pretty much every day. Some of them are educational, some of them are funny, some of them are political, some of them are just interesting. We definitely try to give you all the information you need to be a part of the Second Amendment community, and it supports San Diego County gun owners, Orange County gun owners, and Inland Empire gun owners, and what they're trying to do as well. So I definitely invite everybody to check us out. The one central place to go is gunownersradio.com, and check us out on social media, YouTube, and get involved. And I hope you like the show. If you become a gun owner, if you are a gun owner, if you care about gun ownership, you have to at least pay attention to the politics. And people say, hey, I don't really care about the politics, but the politics cares about you. And so even if you don't want to engage in the political part of Second Amendment and gun ownership, it's going to eventually engage with you. It's going to decide how you can and can't defend yourself, what you can and can't do, where you can and can't go. So I'm not saying that it has to consume your life, or that you have to, spend all your free time with Second Amendment advocacy. But I do think it's important to at least pay attention. What's going on? What's going on in the political world and Second Amendment? Who in the elected world are my friends and who aren't my friends when it comes to Second Amendment? And I think just kind of spending some time and figuring out, well, here's why it's important to me, and being able to give somebody a 30-second answer when they ask, well, hey, why do you own a gun, or why do you pay attention to Second Amendment politics, I think is really, really important and crucial. It's definitely worth spending some time and thinking about, why is this important to you? Why is this something that you do? Why are you a gun owner?